Hello, another edition of Natives Podcast. We're here with Bob Thornton. I'd be lost without him, but thanks. He helps every interview and makes me look good, so I appreciate it. But I'm here with a special friend of mine that I thought I knew till a few months ago, and then he told me his story from earlier, and so now introduce William Kimball. And I'll tell you what, he's just an amazing man. And so just start with your story, where you were born, raised, and some stories on your growing up, your early years.
My early years. So my early years were here, obviously in Florida, and Jupiter and Juneau, but Juneau Beach particularly. And it's funny because, like as we had talked about, as a kid growing up there, I was in the ocean. I was diving before I could even talk. My dad had me in the water as like a little baby. He was a really great free diver. And I spent so much time, I grew up on the intercoastal. So it was basically, I had forts out in my field. I had rope swings going out in the middle of the inlet. I mean, the intercoastal. And it was just such a amazing, it was like the greatest thing you could think of as a kid. I had a playland. And as I'm getting older, and then what I told you about the crazy story, which we'll just kind of just shoot straight into, was at 6 years old, it was Thanksgiving. I was running around. It was a wild accident that happened to me. I was running around a table, the Thanksgiving dinner table. My sister was running the other way. We ran into each other, and I flew through the air, and my knee caught the edge of the table and snapped my kneecap in half. Well, I was kind of one of those kids, still am, that when I get injured, I don't really make something of it. I'm like, if you die, walk it off,
Rub some dirt on it.
Yeah, basically. And so I just sat there on the couch and was kind of like, man. And then my grandfather, who I was named after, William, comes up and he said, William, you've been sitting there for quite a while. And I said, yeah, my leg's a little hurting. And so they went to pull my pant leg up and it wouldn't pull up. So they had to take scissors and cut it. And it was like the size of a grapefruit. So long story short, later on, I find out that, it's broken. But not only did it break, but it had gotten a benign cyst on it that was the size of a quarter. So it wouldn't heal. And so basically it would break. One time I fell off of a chicken wire fence. It broke. And then I jumped into a shallow end of a pool and it broke. So it was one of those things that they didn't know. It was so long ago. And, this is the trauma side of the story. But as a kid, I was adventurous. Yep. I was 6 years old already. I was in. So it was like, hell no, this ain't going to stop me. So luckily, I got, my mom took me to Shands Teaching Hospital in Gainesville. And there was this doctor there called Dr. William Enneking. And he was like the world-renowned orthopedic specialist at the time. And he did something so crazy. He cut the bone marrow out of my fibula and reconstructed my kneecap with it. And that was like I was one of the first time patients in history to do this. And it was like 60% was lose my leg, 40% was keep it. And they didn't tell me that because I was little. I was just a little guy.
How old were you by then?
I was probably 7 by then. Yeah, because this had stretched on for years. And so long story short, I, got that operation. That was like the final one. And I mean, I couldn't show it to you right here, but I mean, I got these railroad tracks on me that look like that thing there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And then that one there. So they had
really had to lay it
cut
open.
My leg and open my whole knee open. And then they cut this open and they cut the bone marrow out, which is really wild. You wouldn't think that was being done.
Even capable of.
Yeah. And so the cool thing about the guy, William Enneking, he went on to create the replacement knee and hip. So he was like this classic guy. And he taught me all this stuff as a little kid. And he was like my buddy because I basically lived up there. And, as a little kid, I remember I would be in the physical therapy and they'd be like, you got to straighten it. You got to straighten it. I'd be like, oh, and it was horrible. And like, we're going to walk now. And so all this crazy stuff. But I guess the point why going into that was when you have a world that I came from like that and come from, I just wanted back there. I was like, this is great and all, but I just want to go back to my intercoastal. I want to go back to catching fish, to catching stone crabs and cooking. I was just a little guy, but this is what we did, and then, so long story short, that was kind of the traumatic side of being a kid. You don't realize how heavy it can be when you're that young. You don't realize what that is. And I remember just always being on crutches and kind of running around, but I knew I'd come back regardless, because I was focused, that I didn't think, oh, well, this is it. I guess I'm just that kid that's going to be, a leg that's not going to be the best. I was like, no, it didn't even faze me even when I was young.
What was that, like a year on crutches? I'm sorry.
About that, yeah. Well, on and off. And then I had to keep going back because they had to do checks with my growth plates, because if my growth plates were off, then one leg would get longer than the other, and then that'd be another surgery later in life. And this leg is longer, but I pulled it.
Now, how old were you when you would say, I'm 100%, I'm back where I was prior to? Or were you ever back 100%?
I got back 100%, yeah. I got back by, I don't know, probably 100%, probably by almost 9.
Wow.
Yeah. Eight or 9.
First of all, what a blessing to have this genius just happen to be at that hospital, who goes on to stardom in the knee business.
Right. Well, that was
business.
Right. That's the crazy thing, is to think we had gone to all these other specialists and orthopedics and all these other people, and no one knew what to do. That was a crazy thing, because back then, when, in that time, they were like, well, we don't know what to do. Right. His knee's not healing. They didn't even diagnose that I had a cyst on my knee, the other doctors. He was the only one that caught it. Yeah. Because he just thought, everyone thought it was just a bad break, that it was just like a kind of a break that was just smushed, or whatever you would call it. But that area was actually a cyst.
And did he have to remove the cyst, or did it?
He basically, that's what's nuts. This is crazy when you think about this, how long ago this was. Like I said, he had to not only just remove it, then he took the bone marrow from the fibula and then remade my kneecap.
That's crazy.
So my kneecap was basically built with this bone marrow. That was totally, that's why I was Shands Teaching Hospital, is completely experimental surgeries. And he pulled it.
How did your mom find out about him?
Because I got to give my mom prop, and my dad, both of them. They stopped at nothing. And luckily they knew enough people around the country that knew of who was who, and they put words out, who's the person, who's the guy, and we found him.
Wow. What a blessing, huh?
How cool is that? She wouldn't stop looking.
She would not stop looking. And
I love it.
She drove me up there. She would, be with me and would stay there with me in the rooms. My dad too, but my dad would be down, kind of stay with the rest of the kids, because I have 4 other brothers and sisters. And so, yeah, thank God for that. Thank God for him, William Enneking and the Enneking family. I praise you guys. And someone told me, funny enough, later on, I didn't learn that he made the hips and knees till later, because Joan Arp, I don't know if you know her, but she's a surfer and swim instructor in Jupiter. Yeah. And she actually knew the Enneking family. She's like, oh, my God, I knew William. And he passed away a few years back. But he created the hip and the knee. Wow. And a lot of different crazy
He changed so many people's life with creating that.
100%.
I mean, not only, I think about you, but I mean, with the hip and the knee.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Oh, amazing. I mean,
hundreds of thousands of people, he changed their life.
Oh, yeah, people who now, Kelly Slater.
Yeah.
Yeah, Kelly Slater, who just had his done. I mean, I know so many people that have had theirs done, and they're back to doing what they do. That's amazing. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah. So let's walk forward from 10. So now you got your legs back. Did you play sports going through school?
It's funny. Sports were a funny thing for me because I wasn't a team player.
Most surfers are not a team player.
So
that's why I'm laughing.
I rode BMX. I skateboarded, surfed, wakeboarded, wake surfed. And then I was actually, funny enough, and still can, I was a really good quarterback, like nuts enough. And I could throw a ball and crazy. Like, it was insane. I don't know where it came from, how it happened. And so the Jupiter High School team, they wanted me to play football, and I was like, meh. And so then I started surfing pretty heavy competitively, and As far as like sports going to the next level, I surfed professionally for a lot of years, and back then it wasn't really something that's lucrative or as good as it is in this day and age. So it wasn't. It was hard. If you're going to a contest, you're like sleeping on the floor with 5 other guys, and it's like
it was passion.
Yes, it's like I got second. I got $400. Yes.
But I bet you got to see some pretty places.
I did, yeah, and luckily it was a ticket to go and spend some times in places that you were lucky enough at 17, 18, 19, 20 something years old
to go places where
for sure. Yeah, and I think as far as sports go, the classic story, the one I always like to tell about sports, is one of the reasons why they really wanted me to play football was, I forget what year it was, but Jupiter High School's team won like the national or the East Coast. I don't know what they won. They won the championship. That's all I know. And that same team, because I knew all the guys and they knew all us. We were at the beach at Corners in Jupiter. Yeah. And they had their team and I had my team. And we were all a bunch of surfers. And we played the Jupiter High School team and we beat them by 2 touchdowns with me as quarterback. And they were like, I'll never forget. They were like, what the?
Who are you guys?
Yeah, they're like, where do these guys come from? And it was great because I had this kid, Kyle Cohen, and he's a really good surfer. He's a pro surfer. And between he and I, we were like, I don't know if you'd say Lynn Swan and who was the quarterback back then? Lynn Swan and Terry Bradshaw. Yeah, we're going way back, but it was like we were just automatic. I could just chuck it into his hands wherever he was.
And I think what people that don't grow up around the water, people who have never tried to get out beyond the break on big waves, they don't realize how fit you have to be and how athletic you have to be. But surfers have a different mentality. It's like everything is cool, everything is good, just get me on the water. And other sports, everything is macho and, like you said, team. And when I was a kid, I was in high school and we had a group of older guys come down to our beach, same thing, and we played a game of pickup football, and I ran this kid down and I hit him so hard. Well, he was the quarterback for Boston College.
No way.
And they wanted to beat the crap out of me. And he was like, no, this is my buddy. This guy's cool. He's all right. I couldn't have been but 15 or 16 years old, But same thing. We were all just rats. Yep. We were on the water all the time.
Right.
And a lot of these guys may have been on the juice and slowed them down a bit.
Well, it's funny you say about surfing too, and I think that's a great point too, bringing it back to that, is surfing, even through Hollywood and through a lot of things, we've always been looked at as, dude, no way, gnarly, listen to my skull. And we got this bum rap of being these guys that were just, brainless dandy is actually the definition of dude. If you look it up, the definition of dude is a brainless dandy. And so, it's one of those things that we kind of got tagged for these brainless dandies, but surfing is one of those things. When you're in the ocean, there's no stop button. There's no walk off the court. There's no same brim. There's no, 50-yard line. There's no, pitcher's mound, home plate. It's like you're just paddling. You got to find the spot. This wave's coming from thousands of miles that have traveled, and you got to be in position to turn and catch and not take it on the head. And there's so much happening in such fast pace to be able to get yourself in that position, especially in real waves. Yeah. You got to be a really mutant creature. You got to be like completely tuned in. And I think that's one of the things that surfing to me has always been neglected, to realize the intellect of spontaneity that surfers really have.
Right.
What about some stories of just like getting things, different situations when you're surfing, that you kind of, humor came into play and then it took you out of a tense situation? Because I just thought of one, so I'm in. That's why.
Go with yours.
Well, we were surfing Pipeline and it was going off. It was 8 to 10 and it was low tide and it was just coming and it was getting dark. The street lights were on and Adam Sarlo was out with me, one other guy, and we're paddling. There's a set coming. We go paddle. We go to turn to go, and I tell you what, I'm like, I'm gonna die. You know what? No, because you know what? It's so big
yeah.
you can't paddle in.
Yeah.
You know, so you're just like, then the rip is running hard. And Adam turns and he says, only with Coke do you take the long lines. And I started laughing and I paddled farther. I paddled and the next wave I just took off and I went straight down. I just grabbed my board and I just went, you know,
and held your breath.
Yeah, but I'm just saying that's like those things that you just, humor can break it, is what I'm saying.
I like that, and that's poetically put, because if you didn't, and that is true in those situations, I think you'd panic and lose your mind and lose potentially your being, and it can happen. And I guess one for me in that type of story, it was in Fiji, and I was at Tavarua. We were getting ready to leave. Same thing. It was kind of evening. It was an evening session because the wind had been blowing earlier, and the wind started letting up. And funny enough, you know, and everyone likes, people love to drop their names and everything. And it wasn't a drop name thing. He was there, and he's, you know, a friend of mine. And Kelly Slater we jump on the boat and we're like, all right, we're going out. And I grab this board. I'm like, I think this thing's too small. He goes, no, you'll be fine on that. And I'm like, all right, I guess if he says it, I'm going. So I get out there, we pull up in the channel, and he looks, and it was like humor, but not. He's like, oh, no, you're not going to be fine in that pool. It's way too small. And I'm like, oh my God. And it's, you know, you're not turning around and going back, because it's, you know, you're a mile and a half, 2 miles offshore.
Offshore.
And I'm like, oh, well, I guess, should I take that? Should I laugh? And like, great, thanks, buddy. So I get out there. And my first wave, I drop in, and sure enough, that thing was way too small. I remember like, off the bottom, and I just kicked out and was like, oh my God, I can't even stay on the face of these waves. So a couple waves later, I drop in, and I set off the bottom, and this thing starts, I mean, I'm so backdoor. It looked like I was about to go through the Lincoln Tunnel. I was like, oh my, with no lights on. I was like, oh my God. So I just, I catch the top of the lip, and I kind of ride out the back, and I kick out, and I turn, and I'm like, uh-oh. And there's Kelly in like a proper set wave, standing, no rail grab, in the barrel. And he's coming right at me. And I'm like, well, I can either go out in front of him, or I got to go behind him and take it on the head. And I got the wrong leash on top of it. And I'm like, oh no. And so I'm like, well, just like he said, wrong board. I just shot behind him, and I was doing cartwheels underwater, just bear hugging my board, like you're saying, just flipping, spinning, coming up, and next wave, flipping, spinning. And now I'm thinking, I'm getting down to shish kebabs. I'm like, oh my God, I hope I do not hit the bottom here, because that place, shish kebabs, the bottom's
it's
like
bad.
this. And I'm flipping and spinning. All I'm thinking in my head is, if I let go of this board, my leash is going to snap. I'm going to get sucked in the current, and then I'm going to go past Namotu, and I'll see you in the middle of the Pacific with some ship going, look, he's half dead. And so I finally made it under like 4 or 5, and the last wave was coming, and it was just about to break on me. And I remember paddling, and I had hit my chest. I knocked the wind out of me, and I was seeing spots. And then that funny thing you said, the only thing I thought was, I just beep, bored, beeping bored. And I just, but I'm going to make it. And I just ducked over, and I came out, and I'm just out in the channel, kind of laying there, just sort of woozy. And there he comes paddling up. Dude, what are you doing? And I look at him and I go, wrong board.
Oh, man. And
he's like, yeah, probably. He just takes off. Oh, and then final thought on that from him. Of course, dude, I just got an 11. That's what he said. I got an 11. So basically a 10 is the best wave. He's like, I just got 11. I rode the whole way. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, while you were riding it, that I was taking my
you were getting work. Washing machine.
You were getting work.
Oh, so crazy.
With the wrong board.
Yeah. So yeah, comedy saved me on that one, I think.
That's what I'm saying. It's so good.
It is.
I have no exciting stories like that. My claim to shame, you guys have claims to fame. My claim to shame, up north, we did not have water like this. We didn't have breaks like this. So when we would go surfing, it was 50, 52 degree water. We had to wear wetsuits. Hurricane Bob, long time ago, came up the coast.
Oh yeah.
So we couldn't wait to get out there and actually have real waves. So I was exhausted. We were out there for hours, and I dragged myself up on the beach in my wetsuit with my board, and I laid down in the sand until the sun baked me, and I started feeling humid. We used to get hypothermia all the time.
Gosh.
It was brutal. So, but we didn't know any better. That was just how we grew up.
Right.
So finally, everybody's getting ready to go. Well, my wetsuit's packed with sand.
Ooh.
So I said, I'll just go out and I'll jump in the water real quick and rinse it off. So I went out with these monster waves with no board, with a floating. If you've ever been in a wetsuit without weights and tanks, you are a cork. So I'm there rinsing off, trying to scrub down, and all of a sudden I realize I've been dragged out because of the current, and I'm dragged out beyond the break. And no matter what I did, I couldn't get myself back in, and the current's picking up and it's picking up. And all of a sudden I realized I was going to be that guy, the guy who had to call for help, which is the most humiliating thing in the world. So this is when I go back to my early Catholic school days before I was a Reformed Catholic. I'm like, please God, help me get to shore. And this monster wave came in, and it was breaking before the break. Oh, wow. And I was able to body surf in front of the break. And that was the last time I ever went out in the water without my board. So not quite as cool as you guys.
Yeah, you know what, though? That's all experiences. Fun. At 52-degree water, that's enough for me.
And I didn't have to have the Coast Guard pull me out like a floating plug.
Yeah.
No.
And the Coast Guard or the lifeguards, when they bring the helicopter after you, that's when it's bad.
Yeah.
You know?
They're like, get the bucket. Yeah. We're not even going in after them. Yeah. Climb on the bucket, buddy.
Yes, hang on, you can do it. Well, that was the only saving grace, is we had a Coast Guard station right there, so you knew they were going to come out and get you. But I didn't want to be that. We were the guys that would go out and get the tourists and help them get back in. Yeah. And I was going to be the tourist.
Yep, you're right.
So I guess I probably owe becoming a priest or something to God for the prayer I did, but again, I let him down.
Well, at least the hurricane held your name.
Exactly. It almost took my name. Bob died in Hurricane Bob.
Bob came for Bob this episode.
So how long did you surf for? You're probably still surfing.
Yeah, I still surf. And I mean, I surfed like the professional thing, I don't know, for a good long time, and then just realized it was, kind of, and then I unfortunately actually hurt my other knee.
Ugh.
It was doing a big giant air, and I when I came down, I landed in the flats. I like missed the, landing on the lip and kind of tail section and landing in. And when I landed in the flats, my back foot missed the tail, and my front leg buckled in, and tweaked it pretty good. And then after that, I had kind of couldn't make the next season and lost sponsors, and just kind of was like, and then I started playing music, and then just did that for quite a while. And then
guitar, drums, what were you playing?
Played guitar and singing. Yeah. I played in like punk rock bands for a while.
Nice.
And then like all this other stuff. And then I actually started playing in a band with Tom Kern.
Oh,
yeah. I was. I
remember it well.
Yeah, played guitar and did backup singing with him. So we played that for a long time, and then somewhere right in that thing, I actually started a surf school.
Really?
Yeah, and this year is my 30th year anniversary.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, right in Jupiter and Juneau. So I kind of took the surfing thing and said, well, I love it. So what do I do? I was like, turn it on to the kids.
Good for you. So if you had to make a random guess over 30 years, how many people have you been able to help?
Oh, geez. Thousands.
Thousands. That's so cool.
Probably tens of thousands.
Tens of thousands.
Yeah.
Have you had any students that have gone on and really gotten into it? And
Yeah. I've had kids, like there's even a couple right now that are, this one girl, Marlon Glaub, she's from here, and from there she came to camp there, and she's doing really good. She's on the QS, and she's, I think, won like definitely East Coast championships. I think maybe even a national title or so, and then a couple other kids too through the years. But I think the coolest thing that I learned is beyond being a success according to numbers or trophies or thing. It's just kids that come to me years later and like, you changed my life.
Ah,
And like, that's the biggest reward, like you taught me something that I never understood. And then they went on and did things that, changed other lives and, gave them, because I think with teaching surfing, it's cool. I love it. But I also like to teach them how to really live and understand what life is and like what the real value of it is. Not about materialistic things or not about, those things are great. Like I say, it's good to have money, but don't let money have you. And that was kind of the thing that I've kind of lived by my life is just once you let it have you, it's like you don't have it anymore.
No.
Because it's just rust and dust at the end of the day. So I just try to do that with kids. And I've had kids say, I went through my life and I went and moved over to Ethiopia and I ran this, center there. And like, people that like this one girl, Shanley, who was there and then she came work for me. She has this thing, Earthed, that's like all about, replanting forests and things like that. So it's just really cool when you see that type of stuff.
Yeah, because you're genuinely touching the future. And the biggest thing, and Seth has heard us talk about it a million times, because Seth is 23. 22. I always get it every time I get it wrong. I either go under or over. But the hardest thing, or the thing that I see, because I have the benefit of getting to work with a lot of young people. We teach leadership at Police Athletic League and work with the Boys and Girls Club and the schools, and they're not being taught the things that the way that you grew up is swinging out and jumping in, going out and getting crabs, doing all of those things. They're being handed a telephone or a tablet and saying, raise yourself. And when they go astray and they get themselves in trouble, everyone's horrified. It's like, well, what did you expect?
Yeah.
Your mom and dad supported you so much. I know even my dysfunction junction family, we had a dinner table and we sat around the dinner table and more wisdom was put into us at that dinner table simply from sitting there and listening to the conversations, and they're not getting it. So good for you to be sharing, like you said, more than paddle pop.
Like really getting the I just did a winter break camp and it was pretty classic. It got cold, and I and we'll also do fishing, and as long as we catch a fish that's sizable, we'll actually keep it. I'll clean it with them, show them how to clean it, and then we'll cook it on the grill, and then we use sea grape leaves as our plates.
I love it.
And I make them collect all the firewood. I'm like, we got to get firewood. And like, there's no coal here. We're not using coal. We got to actually start this fire. Like, and you have to get the kindling, so I make them all, put in the work. And then we cooked a bunch of different food on it, and I had them all had sea grape leaves as their plates.
That's so cool. But
cool.
I guarantee you they'll never forget that.
Never forget it. They loved it. They're like, look at my plate. I got a perfect one. And it's just really cool to see how excited they were. And they were like, man, we never did this anywhere. I didn't think you could do this. I didn't think this was real.
It's called survival, kids.
Exactly. So
wait,
really
there's
cool.
no microwave?
Yeah, exactly. Where's the pizza poppers and whatever they're getting nowadays, So it was cool. It was really cool.
So how can kids find your surf school right now?
It's bluewatersurfing.com. It's called Blue Water School of Surfing. And this summer will be our actually 30th year anniversary.
That is awesome.
Yeah, and
you probably made more doing the surf school than you did doing the circuit.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. Yeah,
how times have changed.
I know, it's wild. And the crazy thing was, I was the first surf school in Palm Beach County. Yeah. So it was kind of neat because back then they were like, "You're what?"
Yep.
And I'd be like, "You
were
teach
the first
surfing?"
one. Yep.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Hang in there, little fella.
Oh, you're a lifeguard?
Yeah.
But William, going back to the dude mentality, like, Spicoli banging his. Yeah. If you go to the beach and you talk to some of these older guys that are coming out of the water, going out of the water, they're all successful. They're all super smart, and they're still surfing. They're not sitting around the campfire getting stoned before they go out. They're coming from their suit and tie job, and they hear the surf's up, and they're out there paddling.
Yeah, and the thing that's cool about that too that I always love, and it's something that's so applicable to the art of surfing, because whatever you want to call it, sport, art. I just like it as sport because I look at it as a wave as that's your canvas, paint how you want.
Yep.
If you want to go hit the lip, blow out a tail, and do a tail slide, stall and pull in the barrel, then that's your painting. If you want to just stand there and kind of roll up to the nose, that's your painting. You know, it's like you paint your style and you paint the way you want. But at the same time, you can't play a serious football game at 60 years old. You shouldn't. You probably can, but you shouldn't. But you can still paddle out and cruise at 6 years old, and you can always continue to surf. And I think, you know, guys surfing their 70s, 80s, 90s years old. I remember old man Whitman from Whitman's Chocolates. I would go to the Bahamas, and he was like, I think he was at that time, he was like probably almost 80. And I'd paddle out with him, and he'd just drop in and kind of set a rail and kind of go down the lines, miss a lot of waves, but he was still out there.
That's
you know?
cool.
So I think that's what's so great about it, is it's something you can always do no matter what, unless, you know, obviously physically you can't do it at all, then, you know, but it's something you can continue, you know.
No, it's and it's true. You can't go out. I can't go out and play. I played a lot of football, and in my heart, man, I'm ready to go. You know, suit me up. And that first hit, that'd be my last hit for the day.
Yeah.
But earlier today, I had a chance. I was down doing a commercial, and there was a young lady there, absolutely beautiful. And I had a chance to talk with her, share with her, and she was sharing about her life and what she was trying to accomplish. And she said, she looked like she was 12. And she said, the problem is I'm really old for a model. And I wanted to say, how old are you? But I learned, clumsy Bob has learned, it usually takes me 50 years to learn what you would probably learn in a month. But you don't say to a woman, oh, you're pregnant. When do you do? Right? I've done that. And they're not. I learned that one when I was in my 20s. I never forgot. Anyway, I don't say, how old are you? But I'm thinking to myself, she's too old to be in the business. And fortunately, one of the other guys that was sitting there said, how old are you anyway? And she said, I'm 27. And how sad is it at 27 that she's at the end of her career, you know, where I don't know how old you are. You definitely don't look your age, but
I'm 11.
11. I'm 15. But you can surf as long as you can move, as long as you can walk, and that's the greatest thing. I did a lot of cycling, not like you guys, not street. And down in Fort Lauderdale, rode with the pros and put in a lot of miles. Well, we had a guy that used to come out on Saturdays, and I didn't know who he was because I'm a dumbass, and this guy was always out in front, hammering everybody. And I'm guessing he had to be minimum 75 years old. So finally, after a couple months, you know, I made friends with enough guys that I could ask a question, and we're all warming up. And I said, what's the story with the old dude? And they're like, oh, the old dude? I said, yeah, how is he so good? And they said, well, did you ever hear of a little race called the Tour de France? Well, he raced it 5 times.
Oh.
And he was still out there in the saddle getting it done.
Wow.
Yeah, it was just, you know, but it's one of those things that
you can continue.
And Harry can identify. We can still go out there, and no matter how we say we're going to be good, we see somebody out in front, and you have to say, I got to catch that one.
Yeah,
I got to catch that
chase
one.
him down.
Yeah,
Still.
yeah. No, I it's funny. Well, it's funny you say the age thing too. I think age is one of those things that, like you said, the girl was 27. You know, they say, oh, and then their mind, they think like, you know, oh God, I'm like, she even said it. She actually put it out there. You know, I'm old for what I'm doing, and it's like, you're old as you think and let them say you are. You know, and if you let people say you're old, you'll start kind of going internal and, oh man, and you know, it's like, yeah, you're not going to go out and tackle number 65, you know, on the college football field, but you can still go and do these things, and it's maintaining the ability, the mind, you know, eating right and staying in it, and that's, I think, important. There's a lot of people make the mistake of, you pull up to the gas station, there's, you know, 89, 91, 93, and then there's watered down slug gas. You're not going to put it in your car, but you'll go right around the corner and put watered down slug gas food or treat your body in a way that's not even as important as your car.
That's good with you. Yes.
And I think that's why I've committed to that. I've committed to like holding on to my abilities and my physical and my, you know, health, and just taking that. That's number one. You know?
No.
I want to know, like, back to surfing, okay? Because I know you've surfed at a surf ranch and stuff, and now that there's more wave pools coming up and stuff, that we have a couple coming at Fellsmere
Yep.
and Fort Pierce.
Yeah.
What do you think that's going to change about surfing, and would you move your surf camp there, or is there any interest in that?
I think wave pools, you know, I think they have the chance to like actually get a kid in Ohio to be a surfer. They get a kid in Arizona to be a surfer. They get a kid in Utah to be a surfer if they go that far. We'll see how far it's going to go. I think there'll be, if you remember the classic movie from back in the day, North Shore.
Yep.
Which, funny enough, I really wanted to make a 2 of that, and I know I forget his name. He's Turtle in the movie. He was trying to get it and do one too. But I think right now, if you were to do one, you could do a really cool one, because what I thought was Rick Kane's son now works at the surf ranch, and then he becomes, you know, a competitive surfer, and then he goes to Pipeline, gets an invitation, or, you know, gets a wild card and then wins the pipe, kind of like falls in dad's shoes. It'd be a classic movie.
Yep.
But my point is I think you'll have, what I'd call them is poolies. I think you'll have kids that literally started in pools that weren't even ocean surfers, that,
Yep.
you know, and they already are starting in some areas like Waco, definitely in Brazil. And that Fellsmere one, obviously we'll see how that goes. Would I move to that one? No. But if and when one does come around here, then I've been in talks. We've had 2 or 3 that were about to happen. I was going to be a part of those, and probably
That's what I thought. I thought I remember that. That's why I'm asking.
And so I would and will be, if as long as they happen. But I think the thing that's cool about wave pools is there's a lot of safety involved, as far as, you know, you're not getting attacked by a shark. I guess a lot of people can have that fear. And then on top of it, you literally have guys like right there if something were to happen.
If something happens.
Whereas a lot of times you're surfing breaks where there's nobody there.
around.
So that factor, especially for kids, if a kid whacks his head on the bottom or something, the person can get to him right away, get him out, you know. And he's not just taking a fin in his arm and then being at the beach going, well, hey, mister, can you call my mom? You know, like, and so that thing is cool. Is it ever going to be the ocean? No, because it's not this, you know, piece of energy that's moved thousands of miles only to come and grab you one time. A wave only lasts once, you know. That's what's so cool. And there's never the same wave. So, but surfing a lot of these wave pools, they say that even Kelly's wave, they say that every wave's the same, but those waves are different because they're stationing in the pool, currents that move back and forth, and sometimes the way the plane is, it's a little bit more off than you thought than this one. You're on setting 2 or setting 3, CT1, whatever it is, and they'll still have little nuances. Like, I know I'll be on the right, and I'll be like, whoa, that wasn't there before, you know, and pulling the barrel, and it chandeliers a little bit, and, you know, I'm like, what was that? So you'll still get a little bit of the ocean, but I think as far as where it goes in the future, I mean, could it be something, in my vision, was a stadium setting where you could actually have like, you know, a whole leaderboard situation, kind of like snowboarding, where you're like, all right, you need a 9.87 to take out, you know, Tom Grossman, and he's, you know, got his last ride, and that feeling of, whoa, like you can get that stadium feeling where you get watching something that has energy. That potential, potentially. I mean, I've seen it with the Surf Ranch. They had the Future Classic and the contest there.
That's what I was going to say.
And I was there for all those contests, and it's cool. It's like, you get that feeling, but it does also, the one thing that does, being honest, is the repetition does kind of, it's like pretty much kind of the same wave, you know, same height.
And the other thing is, you know, going back to the phone or the tablet or our society, everything is instant gratification. When you're out on the water, you can spend a lot of time looking at the horizon, waiting for that wave, and it's not that's not life. It's not every wave is rideable. Not every wave is good. And I think that there's a patience and a cleanness to, and there's something in the ocean. Like,
Oh yeah.
it's just, there's energy. We're from the oceans. I don't know if this is true or not because I didn't look it up, but somebody said that if you take sweat and you take ocean water, they're basically the same chemical compound. And there is just, for me, I walk the beach early in the morning and I get my feet in the water and I walk along, and there's just something healing about the ocean, being out on the water, even just swimming or just soaking. There's just something, and you're not going to get that in a,
No.
you're going to get 70 gallons of pee at the bottom of the pool.
Pretty much.
Pretty much.
Pretty much. And I think something with that too is, the ocean and surfing in the ocean, the one thing that is, if you want to talk about like the differences, is sitting out there watching and you're seeing this wave coming and you're like, yeah, that one's going to close out. I'm not going to go for that. These ones that are in the pool, it's like, this is the one, you better go. You're not, it's not like, well, I'm going to wait for the next one. It's like, nope, this is it, I'm going. But the same thing with that with competitive surfing, and what is a problem with spectatorship, not a problem, but it is just honest. Contests sometimes have to have a event window that is like 10 days.
Yep.
And so when a contest runs, that to watch it it's a 5 to 8 hour
Undertaking.
Yeah, you have to sit there and watch. Each heat is 30 minutes and you're waiting for a wave to come in, and that's why it's hard to have it like, okay, we're going to have it on this Sunday because there may not be waves at that spot on Sunday and you can't put it on ABC. So that's why it's always been a hard one. It's either something it's not live. It's either been recorded and you can watch the replay. So with wave pools, I think it would, and it will give the chance of saying, hey, this thing, we're going to have it on Sunday the 25th, 100%. It's a 2-hour event. We can even, potentially say that we'll only broadcast the last hour. So from like round 16 all the way to the finals, something like that. And you can show replays of what happened in round of 64, 32, whatever it is. And so that gives the chance to see that. But, it's one of those things. I mean, I think more people, it's really going for it. And I don't know if you're aware that Abu Dhabi has a Kelly Slater wave pool, and they made this huge sports complex there in Abu Dhabi. It's basketball, football, soccer, and they chose surfing as one of the things. And Abu Dhabi paid for the whole thing. They did this massive, crazy whole thing. Yeah, they definitely have the
Capital.
The underground lubricant that took care of that one.
To grease the wheels.
Yeah.
But that just brought a whole different vibe to that area, is what I thought when I heard it. Abu Dhabi, there's a wave pool. I mean, all of a sudden you think about it different than if it's basketball and football and all the other stuff,
Totally.
Soccer, you just go, wait, there's a wave pool there? Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I thought. And
no, I think it's cool. I mean, thank you guys. That was really radical.
Yeah,
that they had,
very much
had
so.
enough of.
I thought it was cool.
They had enough of belief in it, and they kind of paid respect to, the sport and art of surfing at that level, and said, hey, you know what? This is something, because you looked at all these other sports, and maybe there's some other sports that could have gone in there, but they chose surfing over them. So I thought that was really cool.
Well, if they took, I can't remember, one of the founders of either Microsoft or Apple, I don't remember which one, but he was big into bowling, and he dumped a bunch of money into
Paul
the
Allen?
who was it?
Paul Allen.
Yeah,
Paul Allen?
Paul Allen. It was Paul Allen. So if Paul Allen could go in with your passion, we need somebody out there that's going to say, you know what, let's do that, because I do like your idea of being able to do it in a stadium setting, that you can have that instant gratification for the tournament, because people don't have 5 days to go sit 8 hours a day and watch a.
Yeah. Well, and I even thought I might, because when your brain's going and I think that's something, going back and just to hit on real quick, is I believe that indoctrination, has created the the loss of imagination in a funny way of saying, because
No, I
so
like that.
many kids are indoctrinated by these phones and by these things, and they're taught this is what you have to do. Go eat that. Go do this. And imagination, you tell a kid, hey, there's a galactic dragon that lives in this strange forest just out west of here. And the kid's like, that's not on Google. And it's like, I know, but let's try to make them. Let's turn them into something. No, it's not on Google. It doesn't happen. So I feel like imagination has been stifled in that way, but I think that's why I like to let my imagination run wild. But I always thought it'd be kind of cool with that, is if you even had each person had like kind of like, it's crazy, it sounds like ice skating, if they had their own choreography. So if they had, if they could pick their song, kind of like a walk-on song whatever. And so each one had like a song that's particular to their wave and what he's going to do. And then they'd say, height of spray gets a 9.2 if it's this height. Length of barrel gets this. Style, off the lip, tail slide, air 360, and you have a routine. So you say, all right, he's going to start out the run. He's going to come and do a front side carve, 180. He's going to come out of that. He's going to do a 360 air, come out of that, pull in the barrel, ride it for this long. He's going to do this. And then you kind of have this whole, run that you're kind of holding your breath. Like, is he going to pull it or is she going to pull it? And I think
I like it. I think it's really clever.
Yeah,
I do.
yeah.
And you're right about the whole imagination thing. And these kids are like, I always tell them, the one thing that can never be taken away from you is what you know, and you need to read and you need to know. And I had these 3 young guys, and they said, we don't need to know anything. We're smarter than you. And I said, are you? I said, how are you smarter than me? And they held up their phone. They said, we Google everything. I said, what happens when they flip the switch and there is no internet? And they said, well, that's impossible. I said, is it? I said, I lived through 9/11 and they flipped the switch and there was no internet anywhere in the world. They shut everything down. No, I said, Google it. Go ahead and Google it. But it's true if it's not. Say it again. Imagination.
Indoctrination has killed imagination.
Indoctrination has killed imagination.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, and I think imagination is one of those things and that's why with surfing, going back to the teaching, is I do make up funny little things and songs for the kids, and I take them and I'm like, hey, like we have this one song, Surf Party, but I make them come up with the words and what we're going to say. So it was like Surf Party, and I was like, we got cake, we got soup, we got cabbage. Like, what is that? How is that even like soup and cabbage, but cake? But they're the ones that came up with it. So then they actually created the song and have them all singing at the top of their lungs. And it's so cool because they created something, and it's like, I think that's really important. And, doing sound effects. I do sound effects with them. I'll teach them how to do this whole thing, or I'll inspire them and say what can you do? And they're like, well, it kind of looks like, what? You mean, what can I do? And then they'll finally reveal this thing that no one else thought they could do. And they get out there and you let them know that, wow, that's cool. And they're like, geez, anyone thought that was stupid, and it's like one of the ones I always did, Michael Winslow.
Yeah.
So I actually did it before him. He's the
sound
police
effects.
sound effects guy. Yeah. So I could do the CB radio.
Yep.
And so it was one of the things at camps that became like this lore. The kids like, can you do that? We heard it. It kind of goes through the years and they say do it. And so I would teach them also how to do it, and they kind of couldn't do it. But there's I can show you here.
Do it. Let's go.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Then here's the best part, and this I love. I always tell the kids, you got to dig into your collarbone. And they're like, what? I'm like, yeah, you got to get in here. And they're like, what's in there? I'm like, oh, nothing's in there. I said, but this is where it is. And they're like, what do you mean? And I go, hey, you just got to get in there. And I said, you got to make sure you have the pop. And they're like, pop? Like, what do you mean? I'm like, yeah, this is right.
61974, this is dispatch unit 3. We got a 187 in progress. Come back on over. 61 Tango, this is Victor Charlie Bravo, 61 April. This is dispatch unit 4. Areas unit, please proceed to forward 11 progress unit 7.
That's awesome. That's imagination.
Oh, that's so good.
Honestly, that's the kind of stuff we grew up doing.
Yeah.
What did we hear all the time? Find something to do.
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
And if you didn't find something to do, you were going to be
that's
raking
so
leaves,
good.
washing dishes, whatever.
So I spent time in the
That's-
mirror doing that, outside. I mean, so it was like, and I felt like we have to continue that tradition of being childlike. I think that's the other thing is everyone told you better grow up. You better grow up, be a man. And it's like, well, that's cool, grow up and be a man, but don't forget that kid that lives inside that wants to play, that wants to be vibrant, that wants to have vitality and the energy to think and use this physical body for what it's for, not just sit there and go, well, it's all about making money and we'll just sit here later in life and go, gosh, look at all this great stuff that's going to turn into rust and dust when I'm dead.
Rust and dust.
And as crazy as it sounds, it really just ties all back into that saying, and I don't know if someone else came up with it, but I know it's one that I've lived by in my life is, look, it's good to have money, but don't let money have you because it will. It'll just, you see people, they're eaten up by it and they're not bad people. They're just afflicted. That's it. It's like having a disease and you don't even realize you have it.
Now, we'll go back to the wave pool because this was my thought, and I know you're going to think this is out there.
Nope, nothing's out there.
No, PGA National, it's the Honda Classic. And I'm out there, when the golfers are going through, and it's fine. But I see that lake, and I said, that would be a perfect place for a wave pool. And when those golfers aren't doing anything, people would be out there surfing. It would, you would have something to watch. It'd be more fun sitting up there drinking. When you got, otherwise,
Harry,
you're like
I wouldn't
this.
invest in that one. I don't think the PGA is going to go for that.
No, but I'm just saying, you're normal people. You're just like waiting, and here's a guy comes up and hits it, and then like a lot of them, the exciting ones, the good players are fun to watch. All those other ones aren't.
True.
You know what? You got 25% of field are fun to watch. The other 75% are like, you know what? They made a double bogey, and they're still mad from 3 holes ago. And the ones that come up and smile and everything else, you're happy. But the other ones, you're like, give me a distraction. Give me something else to watch,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
would it be classic? For sure.
Yeah.
I mean, would it happen? Probably like Bob said, probably not because they're going to be like, well, no.
Worlds collide.
Yeah. I mean, although you'd be surprised how many more surfers play golf than you think.
Yeah.
Like, I know Kelly's like super, he plays like in the
Pro-Ams.
yeah, he plays in all the programs at Pebble Beach, and I believe it's the one. What's the one that's in Scotland? It's like a big golf course over there. You know what I'm talking about?
Like St. Andrews or something, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, St. Andrews. He plays that with Bill
Wow.
with Bill Murray and like some classics like that and stuff. So they definitely collide a lot, but could that happen? Could it be viable? I think it'd be better to have somewhere that's specific for it, and then you don't have the two kind of mixing.
Well, no, you have a resort, and see, you got regular golfers all the time. You only got one weekend a year. The PGA's there, but the rest of the time, that lake is being used 365, and you're double dipping, is what I said.
Yeah,
You're double dipping. You're getting charging for this wave pool. You're charging for the golfers. You're using that. That's what I said.
Yeah, it's not bad, but I wonder if my only thought would be is when you get, why am I out here playing golf when I have these crazy guys flopping on some liquid out there? I can't.
Do you know how much I paid for my membership? But William, to your point about money, I've had friends, I've seen people. I may have dipped in that pool myself where you get caught up in the material. And I just read yesterday, and if I have the wrong golfer, I apologize if I say his name wrong, but Brooks Koepka. He went over to live. They had this giant check for him, but these guys were already multimillionaires. And he took the check, and now he's begging to come back to the PGA because no one goes to those tournaments.
Oh yeah,
and they're
overseas.
missing that interaction with the family, why they started playing golf in the first place, and challenging themselves against the best players in the world. And how much money do you need? And rust and dust. You don't. I had a old mentor of mine. He used to say, "You never see a Brinks following a hearse." You don't take it with you.
That's correct.
And everything that you accumulated, your heirs are going to be more than willing to piss down the toilet.
Pretty much. And it's good to give too. I feel
100%.
I have times where I'll just like have a surfboard and just, buddy needs one or kid needs one. I just, there you go. Just, give stuff away too. It's like great. I think giving away things and giving period, not even just material, just yourself and your time, and like, being able to be receptive to, giving someone. I think I read something, Harry, you sent that thing in the text the other day, is, making someone's day, like, and I think that's like one of the best gifts you can do, is just, even if it's just someone walk along, you kind of see they're a little bit down, say, "Hey, how you doing?" And they look at you like,
Yep.
kind of not good, but at least you recognize me, and maybe I'm feeling a little better now, and well, give them a little second and smile and make them feel something, because we're in a time where there's a lot of shadows being cast in all directions, and the best thing we can do is give our time, give our heart, give our abilities, turn them on to others, and be real more than anything. I think I think that's the thing, is everyone's trying to be somebody according to what these things are, and everyone wants to be Instagram hero and the next best thing, and it's like, just be who you are.
Yeah.
That's one of the main things I teach my kids. I'm like, what's cool? And they're like, kind of look at, what? What's cool? Like wearing a freaking double Gaka shirt in Slovakia and standing there like this. And I'm like, no, just being yourself. I'm like, if you are yourself, that's cool.
Yep.
And they
That's
get
the
like,
best.
what is that? Wow. Okay. And I think that's it. Who you are is who you are. How you dress, what you think, what you say, what you like, what you don't like. Because someone else says, that's not cool, you go, thanks, man.
Yeah.
And walk on.
Keep going.
Yeah.
It's funny. Today when I was waiting, there was all kinds of memorabilia, and there was a picture of Jack Nicklaus with a giant cigar exhaling from. I actually was blowing a smoke ring, and his quote was, "I am who I am. I do not require your approval."
Oh, that's good.
And I was like, that's it. And that's just what you said. Being yourself, and realizing that for whatever reason, maybe because we've been the silent majority, doing our thing and just keeping our head down and doing what we're supposed to do, all these crazy things happened. And somehow they vacuumed the kind out of mankind. Mm-hmm. And when we start doing just what you said, and saying, hey, you need a hand, here you go. Not even saying it, just doing it. We start to put the kind back in mankind. And as a society, I see more and more people, I have more and more people say, what can I do to do more? I just had a conversation. A fellow drove over to see me from Tampa, and we sat at lunch, and he said, what can I do to start giving back? He said, I don't know how to do it. And I said, it's so simple. And it's right in front of all of us.
All of us.
You don't have to leave your house.
No,
you don't have to leave
easy.
your neighborhood.
No.
It's everywhere.
Yeah. No, I agree.
And they're hungry for it.
Yeah.
So anything else you want to add? You want to, if you were to be remembered for something, for what you stood for, what you believed in, what could you sum that up for us?
Yeah. Would be, don't be afraid to do what you're going to do in life. Don't look at respect, not fear. Like respect the ocean, respect the life that you have, respect the art of giving and understanding. And there's a saying I say, to give is to live, to receive is to believe, but when you give with no tricks up your sleeve. And that's my quote. I don't think anyone's ever said that, but I think that's something that I look at as, I would just want to be known as someone who lived life fearlessly but with respect, not, recklessly. And I want kids to understand that the ability to be themselves, to be free, to be real and not some made up person that is out there in this digital world. Just find who they really are, find who you are, and my ability to give that back through what I've done with surfing for so many years. And I think personally, I was a person who had some things happen to me, obviously, as we started this thing that were pretty traumatic as a kid, but I didn't let it define my life. I took it and then I used it as fuel, not fire. And I pushed forward in life and did all the things and still continue to do the things I do at a high level. And that's what I want to do. I want to be able to continue to be who I am without any deterrence internally, mentally, physically, hopefully, spiritually, health-wise, just continue to push on and be the person who I feel like I was given the gift to come out of a lot of fires and have situations that shaped me and gave me the direction I have. And just a person who really was unselfish with life. That's pretty much it.
That's pretty much a lot, William. How many children do you have?
None, just me. I'm still raising me.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
no, okay.
Thousands, actually. Because
There you go.
they've
That's
come
what
to
I was
camp.
looking for.
I've just sent them
With
home.
exactly
over
what I-
30 years, he's
Yeah, I have thousands.
tens of
children.
thousands.
Yeah, tens of thousands, yes. I do have a lot of children in that way. I got nieces and nephews. And I think as far as kids went, I believed inside that had I had kids, I would probably, just being honest with myself, not have given them what I should have, because I was too dedicated to doing and traveling and doing all these other things. And I don't think that would have been fair. So I was realistic and just said, I'm going to teach these kids and do that. I had 2 kids that I was with someone for a while, and they were like, it gave me a chance to raise 2 kids. So I did. Those 2 kids were still kind of like, I believe, sort of my universal children. And actually one of them, well, both of them are really great, but one of them, she's one of the great big wave surfers in the world. And she's 4 or 5 times women world champion paddle surfer. And she's the youngest board sport surfer to ever win. She was 14, Izzy Gomez.
Wow.
Izzy.
Yeah.
All right, Izzy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Izzy's radical, and she's a Roxy girl now, and she's a gnarly. She just had this clip recently at Teahupo'o,
Oh, yeah.
and just the sickest giant backside barrel, and she just is charging it, and she's radical. And Giorgio Gomez, who's her brother, he's like, I think he won a couple gold medals in paddle surfing, and then he's a really good surfer. I mean, I think he could be one of the great surfers of the world. He's just pushing out on the QS tour. So it's kind of cool to see that they
Very cool.
went there. Yeah. So.
And probably had some growth from hanging with you.
Yeah, probably in some lunacy.
I think everybody in the room here is probably guilty of that as well.
Yeah. But definitely some classic times, and they're awesome. They're awesome people.
Well, question: who is your hero, or do you have one?
Who is my hero? I'd probably say my dad, even though that some people.
I was going to say your dad or your grandfather.
Yeah,
That's what,
probably the mix of the two of them.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Cool.
my dad definitely taught me at a young age that go play.
Yep.
My dad he built us. I mean, like I said, it was insane. He went across the canal. I lived on Donald Ross, right by the Donald Ross Bridge on that canal.
Yep.
He went across the canal, cut down this pine tree, took pulley system by himself, made a pulley system in this V of a pine tree, then pulleyed that pine tree up. Well, obviously pulled all the branches off it and wedged it in there and tied it in a way that stayed, and then had the rope off the end and built a ladder up, and we had a platform. So we would get up in the tree and we'd swing out, and I'd go almost into the middle of the intercoastal.
That's
I mean, we were
crazy.
like 8 years old, 4 years old when we started, and we had tree forts out there. We had underground forts. I mean, it was like a la la land. So he gave me the gift of just really in free diving and surfing, and so he was definitely my hero because he taught me and showed me that life was about going and playing and living,
pushing.
Yeah.
Give us that saying up the sleeve one more time.
Oh, to give is to live. And so I'll break it down. To give is to live is not only just to give something of physical, or monetary, but you have to wake up every morning to live. So you have to give your whole being to live. And to receive is to believe. So you see those people when someone says, "No, here," and they're like, no, because they don't believe in the art of giving. So to receive is to believe. Understand? So that's why when someone does give you something, you go, "Thank you." Just don't go, no. But when you give with no tricks up your sleeve. And that's the saying. So to give is to live, to receive is to believe. And when you give with no tricks up your sleeve.
I love it. That's awesome.
Love it. Well,
all right. So if you're out there, we just heard an incredible story from William, and we want to hear your story. There's people out there that need to hear your story. You've lived through it. William shared that it's not what happened to him, it's what he made of himself after what happened to him. The rain falls on the good and the evil alike, and it's knocked down 7 times, get up 8. That's the bottom line. So come get a hold of us. We've had some incredible people reach out to us, and you're one of those people, so we want to hear from you. And William, it has been an absolute pleasure. You have such a great outlook on life, and I'm super grateful that you're out there sharing your gifts and your experience, and how much, what a much bigger career by teaching for 30 years and touching those lives. And I had a handful, maybe not even a handful of teachers, not just in school, that have made all the difference in my life. And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that would share the same thing about you. So we just want to thank you and taking your time. And
he's pretty amazing at other sports too. Dirt bikes and other things. He can do any darn thing. So he's being modest about the things, and that's why I thought that maybe he would say that all the other things he's done, but
I don't think he needs to toot his own horn.
No, what I'm just saying, he's pretty darn amazing, so we'll leave it at that.
Thank you, guys. It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Yep.
Thank you.
And
thank you.
Thank you as always. You're a rock star, dude.
Thank you.
Ivan's got the apron on, Harry's got his props.
Hello, we're recorded from Harry and the Natives Restaurant in Hope Sound, Florida. It's a family restaurant. My family's run it 73 years. It's an 85-year-old restaurant, and just come and see us sometimes. Thank you. This is Bob.
And we're upstairs in the Tiki Hut, so you can come in, and we'd love to have you come up and tell your story. I'm with O'Donnell Impact Windows and Storm Protection, and we do, I know it sounds confusing, but we do impact windows and storm protection. And our slogan is, and please remember at O'Donnell, it's our family protecting your family. So I promise you, if you use us, we'll never embarrass you. If you refer us, we'll never embarrass you. We get the job done right. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.